Hello YouTube friends, this is a preview of the Essentials ADC Starter Pack course, a course that I made designed from Iron up to Diamond to teach you everything that you need to know to be a really solid ADC. This course teaches you a little bit of everything that you need to know to become a great ADC, and in this preview we're going to be looking at a laning phase part of the section of the course. And I'm working on a higher elo course that's on the way right now that'll be from Platinum all the way up to Challenger to give people that are a bit higher elo all the tools that they need to do to become a really good ADC. And if you're interested to buying the course, right now we're doing 20% off using discount code TAR20, link in the description down below. Chapter 4, Laning. So in this section, I want to do a little bit theory with you guys to first explain some of the things that I think are really important about how to play lane well. And then we will look at some real examples of my own laning phase, and I'll go over the things I do well, some of the things I can work on, and what you can learn from it. So first of all, when it comes to laning, one of the most important skills an ADC needs to have is good last hitting. Learn the timing of when you need to last hit, depending on the champ you play. On some, it's going to be easier. With Jhin, last hitting under tower is going to be a big pain, while last hitting under tower with Seri, for example, is going to be really easy. What I would really recommend, something that I did for a long time, is I had a little Word document, spreadsheet, whatever, it doesn't really matter what it is. And I would go into practice tool, I would CS for 10 minutes, and I would CS until I get to 100 CS. I would count how many I'd missed, and then I'd track it, and I would like say which champion I played. So I could measure my progress and how well I got at last hitting on that champion. And I think this is really useful, especially if you're lower elo, to just kind of get a hang of last hitting. And it's such an important aspect, even in higher elos. I will notice when I play against some ADCs that I can generate a 10 to 20 CS lead because I'm simply just killing the minions better than he is. And it's like, wow, even up here, up in the highest echelons of Challenger, that stuff makes a difference. It's so easy to practice. It's one of the few things in League that's actually easy to practice, easy to track, easy to measure. Of course, last hitting in a real game is different from last hitting practice tool. You can add a bot if you'd like. I never really got into adding a bot because I feel like the bot is so NPC anyways. I might as well not have him there. But you can add a bot if you want and try to play around with that to make it a little bit more challenging to try to get this CS goal. But in general, it's something that I would put really high priority on improving and something that I would really focus on if I were to relearn the role today and get better at laning. And then another concept is matchups. So matchups is like, we talked about it earlier, right? It's how your champ's ADC and your support matches up to the enemy ADC and support. And to play the matchups well, we need to understand really win cons. We need to understand what is my champion's win con, what is my support's win con, and how do we want to play. And when I say win con, I mean that in two different ways. One, I mean the general win con. For example, if you play Jinx Lulu, the general win con is the scale, right? If you get to 3-4 items, probably you're going to win the game because Jinx Lulu both have really good scaling and they have really good synergistic scaling together. But when we talk more about like smaller win cons, I mean, how do you win a trade? For example, if you're playing Jinx Lulu, probably you're going to be able to win short trades where Lulu shields you, the shield blocks the damage, and you get to do one auto attack. And you're also going to win spacing trades where you get to do one auto attack and the enemy doesn't get to auto attack you because you have longer range. Stuff like that is all win cons of your champion, but on a smaller scale. You know, because to truly win the game, we need to win a lot smaller things as well. We need to win trades, we need to get a CS lead, we need to get kills, we need to get objectives until we can eventually get strong enough to destroy their nexus. But at the end of the day, thinking of win cons in this way allows you to have a better understanding of how matchups should go and also have a better understanding when it comes to the general win con of what a good laning phase looks like. Because if I'm playing Draven and I am 1-0 against the Jinx, but she has equal CS as me and she's 0-0 and I only killed her support, maybe I'm not that happy because it ends up that she's actually doing really well for herself. While if I'm playing a Jinx and I'm 0-3, probably I didn't do the best, but there's still maybe a part of me that thinks, okay, I can still actually win this game because I have the scaling win con. It just helps kind of set your expectations for what winning looks like, because sometimes going equal is actually winning and sometimes losing gracefully is the best thing you can do. If you play against Draven Pyke and they have a stronger early game jungler, it's very hard to win the early game. And that's okay. You just need to not tunnel vision on trying to win the early game and rather just don't lose minions, don't lose HP, don't take bad trades. And if you do that, then eventually they'll probably fuck up and you can capitalize and start your own snowballing. Let's talk a little bit about the level 2 power spike. Everybody's favorite ask me about the level 2 power spike. What's the level 2 power spike? So we all know it, we all love it, right? We'll be going more into the details with individual examples, but you know, the basic principle is just you need to be able to count minions and understand who gets level 2 first. This comes to understanding how strong champions are level 1, how much wave clear they have level 1, and yeah, if you can get a minion advantage or not. For example, if they have way more minions than you, by the time the second wave comes, it's obvious they're going to get level 2 first, you need to back off. If they are playing Draven Pike, as we were talking about earlier, probably they should always be able to get level 2 first, unless they severely messed up and came very late to lane, because they can actually fight you level 1 when you're both level 1. A lot harder than probably any other bot lane can. But this will be clearer as we go into more examples later on. And then we got jungle tracking. Jungle tracking is really easy these days. Riot's made it really easy. Nearly every jungler just full clears into bot. Junglers have like 2 set things that they can do to impact you bot lane. Either they can full clear into bot, which means they will be bot lane at around 3:15 to 3:30, depending on how fast they clear. Or they can do 3 camps into bot. And here they will be at like 2:45, 2:30-ish into bot lane. Most junglers will full clear into bot. There are some exceptions, and you will learn as you play that some junglers can gank you more frequently than others. And I think putting junglers kind of into buckets is a good idea in your brain of what junglers are able to be more proactive and which junglers aren't really that flexible. Like for example, a Brand jungle will probably not do 3 camps into bot, but a Lee Sin jungle might, or a Jarvan jungle might. The general rule I would give you is just either ward after second wave if you're really trading, or ward after third wave if you're not under that much threat. It's really easy. You ward the tri-bush if enemy doesn't have support. They probably have a support. If enemy doesn't have a sweeper on their support. And you ward the pixel bush if enemy's support does have sweeper. And also, if you think that their gank threat isn't very high, you can ward pixel bush even if they don't have a sweeper, but most of the time it's better to ward tri-bush if they don't have a sweeper, because it's just better to get deeper vision. A bit about the triangle trading concept. So this is quite a famous or well-known concept at this point, where it puts the emphasis on making a triangle whenever you trade. What does this really mean realistically? This means to trade always 2v1 and never 1v2. You want to always be the one creating the triangle, so this means your support and you can hit the enemy, either support or ADC, while they can only hit one of you, and the enemy ADC or support is not in the fight. And understanding this deeper is just using spells alongside your support and holding your spells for your support, so that there's always an opportunity to be made once the enemy isolates themselves, which is really what you want to be looking for. You want to look for when the support or enemy ADC isolates themselves from each other, and you're able to get a trade where the other one can't impact that. Good base timers. We want to really always have good base timers. The way we do this is to kind of structure our game plan. This is by thinking a little bit ahead of time, when do I actually want to base this game, and trying to not trade too hard, or trying not to make the game too volatile, so that you can actually get to that base as you should. But it's important to remember that solo queue is very chaotic, and a lot of things will not go exactly how you plan them to. So don't panic. Even if you don't get the base timer that you exactly wanted, it can still be fine. I often don't end up getting the base timers that I want because I adapt to the game. My support does something crazy, my jungler wants to gank, my support, goes in, I maybe want to trade and then it doesn't work out and I have to base a wave earlier than I want to. But at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. The most important thing is that you always stay good on tempo, and if you need to base, don't greed for an item unless it's a huge item that will change like the whole game for you. If you can complete Infinity Edge, for example, as your first item, yeah, sure, staying for one extra wave will be good, even if you drop the next wave after. But if you're staying for Boots of Speed or a Cull, it's probably not worth to drop the next wave because you really wanted to get an extra component. And that is a bit about preparing for the worst. To be honest, playing ADC is painful. It's not that fun. It's a lot of things can go very bad and can be very, very frustrating. I'm going to keep it real. I have had so many terrible supports who have just ruined my game and ruined my whole experience and my joy of playing the game. Of course, I still enjoy the game to a day-to-day basis, but there are a lot of bad people playing this game who they leave you on an island, or they int you, or they just flame you when it's obviously their fault and it's not even a debate. They just inted, and they probably know that they inted, but they can't handle that fact, so they want to turn it all around on you. And it's just, wow, incredible stuff coming from the support here. But That is the type of stuff that you need to be prepared for if you want to be able to climb as ADC. Because a big part of climbing in ranked and playing lane well is to keep the mental high. If your support leaves you and enemy bot lane is going to dive you, you gotta drop. You gotta not farm for a little bit and spam ping your support and try to get him to come back. Because dying and not farming is better than, or is worse than just not farming and living, at least. And stuff like that is something that is really, really difficult, but it's also really easy at the same time. Because it doesn't require much of any skill. It's just about recognizing when enemy can fuck you and when it's, you know, someone else fucked you, and then adapting based on it. But it's a lot about the emotional aspect of it and the ego aspect of it, to be able to stay calm and keep the mental high and to just try to farm and to carry late game when you have more agency. Because at the end of the day, the role we play, it doesn't have that much agency early game, but it has a lot of agency late game. So if you're able to say, okay, my support ruined my early game this game, but I will not let that ruin my whole game. I will just chill for a bit, I'll farm, I'll try to be a little cleanup in some fights, and then once I get items, once I get on the board, that's when I can be the difference maker in this game. And if you can embrace that mentality, I truly think that that'll make a world of difference for your climb. It'll help you so much, but it's difficult. It's difficult, I won't lie. I struggle with it to this day, but it's something that will make it a lot more enjoyable for you to play, and it'll definitely help you a lot, and it's something that you need to remind yourself of every game you play, I believe. But if you're able to do it, as a slow and steady progress, it's a process that's going to take a long time, but it's something that you can work on every day and really see phenomenal improvement doing. So let's break down a real example of a game I played today. This is a Jhin game played in Challenger EU West, where I am playing Jhin Zilean into MF Pharrell, and I want to break down some of the thought process that I have during the lane and some of the thought process I have before the lane. So one of the things that I talked to you guys about was win cons, right? Both a general win con and more specific win cons of how to win the lane and how to progress the lane forward and get a lead in general, right? So my general win con this game is kind of based on scaling, to be honest. I'm playing with a Zilean, who's typically one of the weakest early game supports. And I know that if we get to late game, even though they do have quite a tanky front line, with Zilean speeding me up, it should be hard for really anybody on the enemy team to reach me. And I also know that MF is a very strong early game champion. So if I'm able to survive the laning phase, to me, that's kind of success in this lane. So let's just ignore the early game shenanigans where not much happens. There is one crucial thing that happens because of this early game shenanigans though, that I take full advantage of. And that is the fact that enemy bot lane is a bit late to the lane. So because enemy bot lane is a bit late, I know for a fact that I will be able to get level 2 first, because as you can see, I'm hitting. I used all 4 shots immediately on the wave, which means that now I get to decide who gets level 2 first. I even pop a little Q on the wave because I want to try to get my Q to bounce on the MF, but I bounced it on the wrong minion, so I don't end up getting it. But the important part here is that I'm getting level 2. And now you can see enemy ADC and support will now start to respect more and more. I try to go for a little auto attack here on the MF as she wants to go for the minion. I see her, like, I'm not sure what she's doing, but she's making a mistake, so I punish it by getting an auto attack on her. These are the sort of short trades that I want to get. You can also see I miss a CS, which, you know, it's just a proof of concept that everybody's human, everybody fucks up. But now you can see we get level 2 first. I realize now, while looking at the minimap, that I don't have time to wait for third wave to arrive to try to crash that. The third wave is here, which means it's very far away. So I might as well kill these 3 minions here and then go ward right now, just in case enemy jungler wants to gank us, as he would do then a 3 camps into bot. But you can see that he's probably not going to do it because he's kiting red towards Raptors. But if we didn't have this ward, I think me warding here is good, because this would be the only timer that Skarner could really gank us on bot lane. So now my thought process is just to keep push. I want to try to jail them under tower. I want to make sure that Rel doesn't find an engage. Rel actually engages on the Zilean here, which I know will be very good for me because that means I can hit the MF for free. I mess up, I 4th shot a minion. You know, it was the first game of the day, I was sleepy, right? But the concept still remains the same. I am making sure that Rel doesn't have engage windows on me, and I'm making sure to take short trades, and I know that we'll be winning the short trades. And as long as we can keep push, this laning phase looks really good. I make sure to use my Q to try to get bounces on the MF. This is another, like, more champ specific win con, is to try to get Q bounces. And it's going to be different for every single champ, but identifying those and looking for those in the game is what's really important. The specific that Jhin wants to bounce on Q isn't that important. It's that you recognize what your champion wants to do. For example, with MF, it's to bounce her Q to try to get short trades, right? If she can get that, then she can win the short trades versus Jhin. In the other lens, if Jhin can get it, then she can't, then Jhin is the one winning short trades. And here I know I step up a little bit too far. I do end up getting rel Q'd. If I was more fresh, maybe, feeling a bit better, I would space a bit better the rel here. As rel clicks forward, I would click more back so that I would be max range of her Q the whole time. But in the back of my head, I do know that if the rel goes in, like she does here, that it should end up being a good trade for us. I take a second. You can see I don't start hitting either MF or rel immediately. And the reason why I take a second to start hitting anybody is because I want to see who my Zilean is going for. If my Zilean is going for rel, probably I will just try to one-shot rel and run. But since my Zilean is going on the MF, I end up following the Zilean because I want to hit the same target that he does. Then I see that, the MF, and because we go on the MF starts backing off. So then I see that, okay, now MF has backed off so much that rel is actually a really good target. If I get one more auto attack and then I get a WQ fourth shot, I can actually kill her here. She ends up flashing my W, but it's still a very good trade. Then Zilean kind of heals me for movement speed, something I wasn't really prepared for. I end up flashing the rel Q, and it ends up being a summoner net gain for them, as I use my flash and MF doesn't use her flash. But she loses this whole wave. So in terms of winning the lane, I'm very happy. I don't make the mistake here of hitting tower. I check my gold. I see that my gold is good enough for 3 longswords, which are both 350, right? So I can get 2 longswords. I said 3, but I meant 2. So I can get 2 longswords, so I don't need to hit the plate. And even if I needed gold for an item, probably I wouldn't hit the plate here. Because if I hit the plate, the next wave is so close, MF would run up and hard push this wave that's going to come, and I would lose nearly all of it if I start hitting this plate. So yeah, I would get a little bit of gold, maybe even rel would start canceling my base, but everything would just look really, really clunky. And this is the easiest way to ruin your CS per minute, is to overgreed on tempo and try to hit plates when you want to base. Just don't make this mistake, and it makes the game so much easier to play. So now, because of the trading that we did earlier, rel ended up staying to catch some of the wave because she didn't want the wave to go fully to waste. I ping my jungler to come behind on the MF because I know exactly what the MF wants to do. I know she really wants to crash this wave and try to run away, but I'm thinking that maybe Bel'Veth can make it in time. Zilean does a very optimistic flash auto Q combination, and MF ends up getting away. But it's still a good scenario for us, and the enemy ADC will die in a lot of these situations. It's just a combination here of Zilean not having the most reliable CC, and also MF being a really fast champ. But I can guarantee you, if you're able to make the enemy wave state this fucked up early game, they'll probably die. So now we still get to freeze for a little bit, but now I make an interesting mistake that happens sometimes. Here, I'm not even sure if freezing is actually the right decision, because I end up tanking the wave so much and I don't thin the wave fast enough, and I tank an MFQ as well. I end up in a state here where we can't now really approach the wave. And now we have lost one of the win cons that we had, was to have push. And you can see how much harder the lane now becomes, because now MF is the one that can throw Qs at me. Rel can start walking into bushes and pressure me. They can start to pressure and all in. And it's really hard. MF throws Q, MF throws Q. You can see I'm just slowly whittling down, and I know if I keep this up, I will get all in and die, which is really not what I want. So how do I get out of this situation? So how you can see I get out of this situation now is that I see that MF is not hard pushing this wave. Why isn't MF hard pushing this wave? Because she wants to slow push and try to deny me as many mins as possible. MF knows that she can't dive, so if she hard pushes, I won't lose any of the wave. But I know that if I now base and MF pushes this wave and next, I will lose very little minions. I now come back to a relatively big wave without having lost very much at all. I lose maybe 3 or 4 CS, but to salvage my lane state, I'm very, very happy with that. So using recalls in this way to try to see how the enemy is playing it is a good way to try to escape these sort of jailed lane states. Of course, if the MF would have hard pushed this wave, I would have cancelled my base here in state and received the wave under tower. But I would keep looking for these types of windows. Probably I would base right after she pushed that wave and I received it under tower anyways, because the next wave is cannon. So even if she hard pushes the cannon wave, I don't lose that much. But in general, it's good to try to see what your enemy is doing with the wave and then adapt accordingly. The next game, a similar game where I'm playing Jhin Senna into MF Rel, where we also have a lane that is very similar to the last one, I'd say, and whoever gets push is definitely winning. And we need to win short trades while enemy bot lane really wants to have all-ins. So you can see here I fuck up a bit. I accidentally used my 4th shot on the middle minion, which I didn't mean to. I wanted to 4th shot, obviously, the low minion. But I end up attack move clicking too far to the middle. And then I'm trying to space the MF a bit. She wasted an auto on the minions. We end up getting both a very equal trade, while Rel is Senna's trading with the MF. But short trades like this is really good for me because I have sustain from the Senna. And Senna can also keep poking them more, while Rel can't really poke at all, right? So here you can see, because of me queuing the wave perma and also playing very far up in the lane, like Rel is actually the one, MF is actually the one hitting the wave first, but I'm using my Q, I'm using everything. I know my #1 priority, and your #1 priority every game should be to get level 2 first. Whenever you can get level 2 first, you should try to get it. And especially, I'd say below Master, every game you can nearly get level 2 first, because people don't understand how strong their champions are and how to really, like, how to play the level 1. So if you can see that they're stepping back, they're giving you space, you want to take that space and you want to push as much as you can. Because once you secure the level 2, look how easy the lane is to play now. I use my ward to... It's very similar as last game. I use my ward in the tri-bush to make sure that enemy jungler can't do any crazy stuff. This time it's a Jarvan, and I know that he could do 3 camps into bot if he's feeling frisky. So I want to not allow him to do that. And now I want to keep pushing, I want to keep poking under tower and just building up a CS lead, as the MF will struggle to last it because, well, one, I can try to pressure the CS, and also it's just generally harder to last it under tower. I use my 4th shot on the cannon, and I kill the caster minions. I see that Senna lands a W, Rel Qs me, but there's no follow-up to it, so I know it's a good trade. And I'm continuously looking for these auto attacks whenever I can get them. We keep the push. Here, my Senna oversteps slightly, but I know it's going to be a good fight, because I can get the Q bounce on the MF. That's a lot of damage, 117. I can get the W on MF. Actually, she dodges that. And then here, this is quite Jhin specific, but I hold my 4th shot until I have Q, and then I 4th shot after to get the highest missing percentage health damage, and it ends up, you know, securing me the kill on her. Then here I'm chasing the Rel for Dark Harvest stack, and I even end up cleansing for it, but you don't need to learn that part. I just love to get my Dark Harvest stacks, but to be honest, kind of worth. But let's get to a bit of a different example where I'm playing with a melee champion into a range champ. So in this game, I'm playing Kai'Sa Pyke into Ziggs Bard, and this is like a diamond game, so it's a bit below my elo, of course, so I'm better than the enemy opponent, but this makes it more clear how you can really punish enemy mistakes. So in this game, I have a much more explosive bot matchup. I really want the snowball. My goal is to try to trade as much as possible, give angles for Pyke to have all-ins, make sure that I don't get poked out individually, but I'm always healthy enough so that my Pyke can always go in, and then kind of be patient and wait for Pyke angles, but still playing really aggressive and taking up a lot of space in the lane. So you can see the first Pyke hook misses, but it doesn't really change much for my game plan. I tanked the 6Q, but I know it's kind of fine. Bard was looking to auto-attack my Pyke, as you could see, and I walked up to try to hit him. I wasn't quite able to get him, but it's good to try to abuse the fact that enemies trying to hit your support. And now we get level 2 first. And now something very important to do after you get level 2. Slow push as slow as possible. Because, especially in lower elos, and now I'm talking like below challenger, people will really greed for these bad boys. People will not accept that they will lose a minion. They cannot accept it. So they will walk up, try to use a spell to get it, just like Ziggs was trying to do right here. He really wanted to get this melee minion, and even though we got level 2 first, he was walking up. He was walking up because he wanted to last hit this minion. And then he realizes his mistake. It's too late. Pyke's already dashed forward. Pyke gets a good hook. Ziggs is one shot. And now the snowballing begins. I crash the next wave because I know for a fact that I want to base as soon as I can. My Pyke does some funny shenanigans. Starts hooking the Bard and stuff, but it's not really what I want to do, but I don't mind it either. But I kind of just want to base ASAP. I still walk back, I base, I get a call and a longsword, and my wave is in a really good state. I notice that my team is fighting, and I think to myself, oh, I know that Bard had to base, he was really low, and Bard can't be here yet. So this is actually a 3v2. So I ping for my Pyke to go in. My Pyke does like a mega montage play, and we get Lilia kill. Now the 6 wave is frozen. Pyke is mega smurfing. And yeah, we get the 6 kill as well. Now, you might be watching this and think to yourself, wow, this is just the Pyke smurfing. But that's how it is a lot when you play with engage supports. Your success is based on how well your support is able to find those engages, land the hooks, and able to let you auto attack. You could see that the MFs in the past 2 examples, I wouldn't say they played perfectly, but they also didn't play that bad. Their biggest mistake was just losing push. But once they lost push and their rel wasn't able to find an engage, there was little they could do but tank the poke and try to survive. Well, in this case, since I got the push, Sig started going on the defensive, and Pyke was allowed a lot more opportunities to engage. So even though Pyke was the one who found the engages, by me getting the push first, I kind of allowed those engages to be found. So even though a lot of it will depend on your support, obviously, it's a 2-man lane, you can also have a high point of agency by simply getting push and playing well, staying high HP, and playing according to your win con, essentially.